Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to this overview of edition 380 of Accountant's Minute. I hope that you're having a great day. This article is titled "The Critical Role of Accountants in Supporting SMEs," and it is indeed critical because of the current extreme problems confronting thousands of SME operators around Australia. So the key question that I have for accountancy and bookkeeping firms is, does the delivery or non-delivery of business advisory services reflect how SMEs rate accountants or bookkeepers? How would you go about answering that question? I think we need to start with having a look at the situation with SMEs. They're facing high interest rates, high inflation, business failures, and so are accountants and bookkeepers, of course. And then there's the issues that Paul Robson, the CEO of MYOB, raised in an article in the Financial Review of February this year. Mr. Robson indicated that fiscal management skills were not evident, significant problems after 6 months of trading, lack of understanding of suppliers' payment terms, lack of familiarity with credit terms, inappropriate systems for control of debtors, and not planning for payments to the ATO. And then last week, the Australian Small Business Ombudsman, Bruce Bilson, stated that the Australian Taxation Office is in hot pursuit of tax debts that are owed by SMEs. But Mr. Bilson also announced the release of some very important information that his organisation has researched. Small business conditions have deteriorated 3.5% in the last 12 months. Business operating environment has been declining in the last 2 years, and we all know that. Economic activity generated by small business is currently 33% of GDP, and you might think that that's okay until you realise that in 2006, 8 years ago, it was 40% of GDP, and the small businesses currently provide jobs for 42% of the private sector workforce. And again, that has dropped because in 2006, that figure was 53%. So how do these challenges affect accountancy and bookkeeping firms? Because you're the key provider of business services to SMEs, or I think you should be. And then we got the warning from the former tax commissioner, Chris Jordan, back in 2022. And we need to remember that Mr. Jordan had previously, before he was recruited by the tax office, he was a partner in KPMG, a top 4 accounting firm. He understands the accounting industry, maybe not as intimately as the smaller firms and bookkeeping firms, but he understands the industry overall. You must understand that if your business model is high volume, low margin, simple tax returns, your business will not be viable in 3 to 5 years' time. Now, he made that comment 2 years ago. So that timeline is now 1 to 3 years. Have you planned any strategies in your firms to overcome these issues? Amanda Gascoigne, the well-known accountancy industry coach and mentor, indicated in a webinar that we recorded last week that the Taxation Office people had reported to a committee that Amanda's the Institute's representative on, that there are more self-lodgements so far this year, according to the Taxation Office, than what there had been in previous years. So that is saying to the tax office people, at least, that they believe more people are self-lodging and not going to accountants and tax agents. This might be a sign of the times. Mr. Jordan's also advice was you should be looking to diversify to remain viable longer term. Diversify. How are you going to diversify? What are the other services that you could think about offering? And he then finished off by saying, focus on becoming a brilliant and trusted advisor. I think they're very important words. Focus on becoming a brilliant and trusted advisor. SMEs are facing a lot of problems. They really do need a brilliant and trusted advisor. And accountants and bookkeepers are the logical group, but not necessarily the only group who can supply these services. In our opinion at ESS BIZTOOLS, SMEs need support during the year, throughout the year, not just at the end of the financial year sometime, which might be a meeting 6 to 8 months after the end of the financial year, meaning it's 20, 21 months after the beginning of the financial year. If things have gone wrong during the year, there's probably been no key indication given to the SME. And by the time we get round to 6 to 8 months after the end of the financial year, when an accountant might be preparing the income tax return, in lots of cases, unfortunately, it's too late. They have failed. It's worth looking at the comments made by Paul Robson. Debtors management in Australia, according to the MYOB research, a lot of people don't understand it. There seems to be an assumption that everyone's going to pay within 30 days. And there's no compulsion to try to get people to pay earlier. Now, we all know Australia's got the worst debtors days outstanding in the world, according to an international review, admittedly undertaken a few years ago, but there's no evidence that I've seen which would indicate that it has improved. So did the businesses that MYOB analysed, had they assumed that everyone would pay them in 30 days? That's the sort of textbook that someone from the government would tell them. But accountants and bookkeepers are in the real world. You know that is not how it works. So hopefully that information's been passed on to potential SME operators. Another big issue, according to Robson, was that there was no planning to pay amounts owing to the tax office. We need to make sure that clients are taking notice of that and it's been factored into their cash flow forecast, or they've put the money into a separate bank account so it's available to be paid across when it's due. Or as Amanda Gascoigne mentioned in our webinar last week, encourage your clients to make weekly payments. Just pay it into the tax office and it will be all reconciled when the BAS return is lodged. Interesting concept. Business plans are vital for businesses. They're like maps for tourists. They're like architects or draftsmen's drawings to build a new house. Yet far too many people just grab one out of a textbook that's got no relevance at all to their business, and they say they've got a business plan. I think accountants need to be more persuasive in this with your clients. Tell them they must have a business plan, and you will prepare it in conjunction with their leadership team or whoever's involved in their business. Don't just go off in a room and write it yourself. That doesn't serve any purpose. We need them to be involved, but they need you as the critic and the scribe to get this document prepared properly. And then they need budgets and cash flow forecasts and an analysis of the key drivers. They're the sub-accounts, debtors, creditors, capital expenditure, research and development, where there's key figures that can be calculated. Debtors days outstanding, creditors days outstanding, stock turn for the inventory figures and so on. This is the sort of advice that SMEs need. if we're going to try to reduce the failure rate that is occurring and that MYOB have clearly identified in their report. A key approach, we believe, is the 52-week business enhancement system, which is basically what the big end of town introduced, where they've got businesses all over the place. Most of your SMEs won't have businesses all over the place, but they can implement similar systems. And you, I think, should be the key instigator of setting these systems up. Doesn't mean that you've got to be there every day to police them. Just make sure it's happening. You've trained someone in the client's organisation to produce the daily report. It might just be it will only be a one-page summary. What was yesterday's sales? What was the bank balance? What's the debtor's balance? What are the critical payments that are going to get made in the next week? Is the business going to have enough money to do that? Then a weekly performance report and profitability report. Now, this is very important because this is what larger businesses do. Every business unit they've got, they subject to a weekly performance report. So that if there's been a problem, gross profit percentage was expected to be 42%, and it's only came in at 34%, and there's no logical explanation. There needs to be an inquiry. But that inquiry will only be initiated if that data is there. We've calculated that we only got 34%. We're aiming at 42%. What went wrong? Now, there could be some legitimate reasons what went wrong. They should be noted. But if there was a problem in some aspect of the internal operations of the business, this is the opportunity for the leadership team to fix it, so it doesn't occur again the following week. Now, it may have influenced the first 2 days of the following week, of course, because I'm assuming it will probably take to a Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning for those results of the previous week to be determined. But I was a CFO in a listed public company, and that's what we got for hundreds of operations around Australia. So by Wednesday morning, the CEO was able to analyse an overview of what the financial performance was. And if it was in accordance with budget, he was happy because he'd already scrutinised the budgets in great detail. And if it wasn't in line with the budget, he was on the phone talking to the area manager and making sure that they had conducted their due diligence review to see what went wrong. And at the end of the month, we should then have monthly financial accounts for each business unit. And this is the final proof, if you like, of if something went wrong, because we've now got the monthly financial accounts. And if there's a problem, it should have already been started to be investigated because it should have shown up in the weekly performance report. And we would have a comparison to budget because we've got our budgets. We can analyse and see how the performance has gone as compared to the budget. So where do you start with all this? I think by firmly identifying to all of your team that we are not historians. We are here to help our clients grow and prosper in business. And to do that, we must have a futuristic view. We must be giving them guidance as to how they can operate their businesses to trade profitably and to survive in all of these difficult circumstances. Telling them a year to 18 months after the start of a financial year how they went doesn't help them one iota. What I'm suggesting is the implementation of the real system that the former tax commissioner was advising, the focusing on becoming a brilliant and trusted advisor. I don't think anyone is doing that when it comes to lodging tax returns. If you do, I'd like to hear from you, and I'll be quite happy to report in one of these commentaries as to what you think preparing the tax return does as being part of the definition of becoming a brilliant and trusted advisor. I don't think it does. But by helping on predictive accounting reports, helping on planning the future, setting out the roadmap for your client, and then monitoring it week by week, month by month, you will be performing the role of the brilliant and trusted advisor. So that's what I want to leave you with in this edition of Accountant's Minute. Please think about it. ESS BIZTOOLS has developed a full range of product packages to assist you. And we have a special promotion on that's running through to the 16th of September, built around the Paralympics, a great event that's underway in Paris. Why not go to our website, www.essbiztools.com.au, and you can select one of 4 packages to get started on delivering a great range of services to your SME clients. If you've never undertaken the delivery of advisory services before, we've got a starter package, the advisory intro package. It's only going to cost you $49.90 per month, or $499 for the year, including GST, to get started. Now, if you've been doing some advisory services and you think you know where you should be starting with your clients, that's the starter package. Your upfront discount price is $999, including GST. And if you're more experienced, but you've run out of ideas, we've got the advanced package. And it includes a whole range of material. The upfront discounted price, $4,299, including GST, or you can pay it monthly for $429.90 per month. And if you want to have a computer software program that will deliver financial forecasting, and you are committed to offering virtual chief financial officer service, well, the package for you then is the financial forecasting package. The upfront discounted package price is $8,899, including GST, or you could pay monthly at $889.90. So the product packages are there to help you get underway. Please go to our website, www.essbiztools.com.au. And we look forward to hearing from you. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.